In 1215, Pope Innocent III called for the Fifth Crusade at the Fourth Lateran Council. However, they had begun to lose hope after the failure of the last three and didn't want to endure a fifth defeat. So Pope Innocent appealed to the Christians of the general public, offering indulgences for joining the crusade. Those who couldn't go were encouraged to fast and pray. Others were encouraged to pray for those who couldn't afford to go. Pope Innocent III and his successor, Pope Honorius III, organized armies led by Andrew II of Hungary and Leopold IV of Austria, enforcing that the crusade was to be led by the church instead of the kings. However, Pope Innocent died on July 16, 1216, so his successor, Pope Honorius III, continued his preparations by finishing these plans for the attack through Egypt and putting armies together. Once the Crusaders reached Egypt, they launched an attack on Damietta, a key Egyptian settlement. They fought for several months until Sultan Al-Kamil attempted to make a peace offering to them by exchanging Damietta for the Holy Land. Cardinal Pelagius, the leader of the French army, refused the offer, arguing that the Crusaders were under the Church's control. Because of the refusal, the fighting continued until the Crusaders were able to capture Damietta on November 5, 1219. The Crusaders looted the city and became inspired for their march on Cairo in 1221. Al-Kamil planned to attack the Crusaders on their way there, but as soon as the Egyptians saw the size of the Christian army, they fled towards the Nile River. The Crusaders followed, but were trapped behind a flooded canal because they did not account for the constant flooding of the Nile. The Crusaders were low on provisions, so they began to retreat only to be attacked by the Egyptians on their way back. Thousands of men died. The remaining few were captured and forced by the Sultan to give back Damietta, and they were faced with defeat. The Fifth Crusade was the last crusade to be organized by the Church. Frederick II, Holy Roman Emperor, launched the Sixth Crusade because he felt guilty for not leading the previous crusades, especially since the last four had failed. Frederick was able to gain support from the people and his power started to increase. The new pope, Pope Gregory IX, feared his growing power in spite of the people's decreasing power. In an attempt to diminish Frederick II, Pope Gregory excommunicated him. Frederick did begin to lose support, but recruited an army without the Pope's blessing anyway. This was the first major crusade that was not supported by the Church. He built a strong base in Cyprus before heading to Egypt, but was forced to leave early due to a conflict with John of Alban, so he began sailing to Jerusalem. Frederick realized he had a much smaller army than the army from the Fifth Crusade, and it would be a mistake to try and capture Jerusalem this way. So he decided to capture Jerusalem through diplomacy. He approached Sultan of Egypt Al-Kamil, warning him he had a larger army than he really did, and said they were ready to attack Egypt. Because Al-Kamil was preoccupied with a rebellion in Syria, he compiled and surrendered Jerusalem, Nazareth, and other Christian lands in an exchange for a 10-year truce. Frederick entered Jerusalem and he was crowned king on March 17, 1229. Because of this great victory, many saw him as a hero, and Pope Gregory IX lifted his excommunication. This crusade was paid entirely from the Holy Roman Empire's funds, and was successfully covered from Jerusalem for the next 15 years. The success of the Sixth Crusade sent into motion the Seventh and Eighth Crusade.
Created using Powtoon.